and welcome back to a second installment of Architecture Competition series. So in this series, we've been talking about architecture competitions. In the first episode, we talked a little bit about all the benefits of competitions. So in today's episode, let's talk about where to find all these competitions. So for that, I'm going to head over into our website and walk you right through it. So if you first come to our website, on the top right corner, there's a resources tab. In here, we're going to be saving all the links that were mentioned in the video, so make sure to check that out if you're interested. And before we get started, just to let you guys know, ArchiX is all about giving life hacks for architects and students. So if you're interested in more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and check out the next videos. Without further ado, let's get started. So the first competition that I want to talk about is 120 hours. I've been a very big fan of this competition for a number of reasons. First off, it only takes 120 hours. Often during the spring reading break. So there's actually very little time commitment required, and in addition, this is actually free to enter. So it feels somewhat low pressure kind of competition. Regardless of all that, they give you very interesting briefs and oftentimes result in a very high quality entries. What I like the most about this competition is that this competition is very thought-provoking. First places are often very abstract and somewhat unexpected. And yep, as you can see on the main page here, it happens over 5 days, 120 hours. They give you a brief at a certain hour on Monday, and oftentimes you have to work on it, develop the concept, produce visuals, and submit it by a certain time, exactly 120 hours since the brief was released. And it's actually super fast paced, exciting, and I strongly recommend you try this at least once with your friends. Okay, and that has been 120 hours. Moving on to the second place, we strongly recommend you also try Architizer's One Challenges. There are several categories right now, and that includes drawing challenge, photo challenge, rendering challenge, and in the future there might be more. What's really interesting about these competitions is that they also allow for existing work. So there's no specific brief that you have to adhere to, but you can simply submit the drawings that you're most proud of. And the reason I like these is because competitions often asks entrants to do a lot of upfront work with very little promise of any kind of reward. And these first two competitions minimize the upfront work as much as possible. Respect the architects and profession, and I strongly recommend you guys participate in these more. And to add more reasons why you should enter, there's actually very established members of the community during these competitions. So make sure to head over there, check it out, and see if your drawings will be eligible. Next up is Jacques Rougerie competition. Might be pronouncing this wrong because this competition is hosted by a French organization. There are 3 main categories happening every year. One is Innovation for Architecture for Sea, Innovation for Architecture for Space, Innovation for Architecture related to sea level rise. To me, the first and last competition categories sound very similar. But regardless of all that, it gives you more possibilities depending on your interest area. And what's really cool about these competitions is that there is no entry fee, but they actually have a huge prize pool. I think in total, combining all 3 competitions, there's almost 30,000 euros as a prize pool. So if you're still interested in trying this out, I strongly recommend it. As you might have noticed so far, I'm a big fan of free competitions for students because of course students have very low budget. And I found that some competitions can be a little bit abusive in making really high, expensive entry fee with very little promise of returning them. eVolo is one of my favorite competitions. It's actually one of the most expensive entry fees I've seen so far, with early registration of $95 and late registration of whopping $135 US. And despite all this, I recommend entering this competition if you are really interested in big buildings. This competition allows you to design a building that is extremely out there. As you can kind of see from the previous winners, they are outrageous sometimes, but it allows you to kind of explore ideas related to skyscrapers. There are very unique properties about big buildings and things that are only possible in that scale. And this competition is actually perfect for exploring that. If you're just interested in seeing really outrageous ideas and going really creative, check out some of the previous winners for inspiration. Next up on the list is Blank Space Project. They're most known for their fairy tale competitions that resulted in very interesting projects. I'm personally a big fan of like what came out of these competitions. They're extremely beautiful. Reading these narratives are masterfully created. And yeah, it really pushes the boundary of like what the architecture can look like. And some of these illustrations are just perfect. And recently, I think just this year, they announced a new category for outer space. I'm very excited to see what the result of this competition will be like. And as the fairy tale's name might have suggested, they also produce books with the winning entries. So if you're just looking for a nice coffee table book, I think these are great choices. Next up on the list are commercial competitions. These competitions, I think, run as business, and therefore they have several competitions happening every year, have somewhat expensive entry fees. They provide you with very interesting briefs to kind of get you hooked in. Most of these competitions are conceptual, but increasingly they are providing also built projects too. And if you're just starting out and looking to get some things built, I might recommend these as well. So those competition websites include websites like YoungArchitectsCompetitions.com, BeeBreeders.com, and OpenGap.net. And there are tons more websites that have numerous competitions with very interesting briefs. Alright, that has been my 2 cents on all the architecture competitions. Next up on the list are competition aggregation websites. So these websites basically take entries from other competition websites and kind of put them in one place. These websites often have sorting algorithms so that you can quickly narrow down to topics or deadlines that you're most interested in. And the first up on that list is Bustler. This website allows you to find competitions that are lesser known. You can narrow down by ideas or whether it is student or virtual. And they have a competition category filter that allows you to narrow down by awards, region, ideas, or whether it is for built or abstract. So it's really convenient when you're looking for a particular kind of competitions. They also tell you exactly when those competitions are starting and ending, so you can also filter by that as well. And second website similar to that one is Competitions.archi. This website also aggregates a lot of competitions and allows you to do very similar filtering down and get newsletters as well. And they have recently started making these annual publications where they aggregate some of the most interesting projects. So if you're interested in getting hard copies, that's also available on their website. Hope this gave you guys some ideas on what to enter next. And links to all these websites will be linked on the resources tab on our website. So make sure to check that out if you're still interested. And in the next video, we'll talk about what are the criteria you should be looking out for in order to find the right competitions. I'll see you in the next video.